Hello, it's Mark Cunningham at Grace Property Management. So one question we often hear from real estate investors who are considering hiring a property management company is this. Do property managers in Colorado have to be licensed? Can anybody decide, you know what, I will manage your property for you and I'll charge you a fee and here's how it's going to work? Like, is there a licensing requirement? Now the big bold answer is yes, there is absolutely a licensing requirement in the state of Colorado for someone to manage third-party someone else's property. Now, if you own your own property, you can manage your own. You don't have to have a license to manage your own property, but you still have to follow the rules that are laws for the state of Colorado. Now, the licensing process, very briefly, it's pretty involved. You have to take 168 hours of educational classes. You have to pass an exam, and it's not some little easy 5-question true or false exam. It's a pretty extensive exam. Last time I looked, the fail rate after taking the 168 hours was like 30%. 30% of people fail that exam. You have to have a background check done on you. You have to have certain insurance in place for your business. So yes, you do. Now there's a couple big reasons why the state of Colorado requires property managers to have licensing before they can manage a property for somebody else. Reason number one is to protect the consumer, Consumer meaning the tenants. If a tenant is going to rent a property, they have a lot of legal protection that is provided to them by the state of Colorado, by rules, by legislation. How do you know what those rules are? How do you follow those rules? Well, part of it is the licensing. You have to understand what these rules are, these regulations are that you as the property manager provide to the tenants. So it's to protect the consumers, both landlords and tenants, the consumers that way. Reason number two, and this is a very important one, is trust accounting. Now, trust accounting is a big, big deal. The Real Estate Commission, the Department of Regulatory Agencies in Colorado, DORA, they do recurring audits of property management companies. We've been audited before by them. They do random audits. And one of the things they look at is your trust accounting, because we hold money that's not ours. When tenants pay money, rent into our system, when they pay their security deposit, that's not our money, it's their money. So we have to make sure that legally we are protecting that money and it's being held and we're not stealing that money. Because sometimes property managers have been known to run off with that money. So the state of Colorado says, you know what, we're going to come in and we're going to investigate your trust accounting, your books. We're going to look at your books to make sure that you're holding people's money and processing their money properly. It's a great thing that the state of Colorado does for you, the consumer out there. Number three, it's to follow the laws and the legislation. This is the most updated Colorado Real Estate Manual in Colorado. It doesn't even have page numbers, it just has chapter numbers because it's so big and thick. Every one of these rules has to be followed by property managers, by real estate agents in the state of Colorado. This is a lot of stuff. We have to know all these things. Now, even if you're managing your own property, a lot of these things still apply to you as a property manager and owner. Why? Because they talk about the industry. So for example, if you have a tenant in your property and you're self-managing, that tenant moves out of your property, do you know how long you have a time frame to refund their security deposit? Do you know that? Because the law says you only have a certain amount of time. And if you go over that amount of time, you are liable for 3 times the amount of the security deposit. By the way, it's 30 days. Unless your lease says 60, then you can have up to 60. But there are dozens and hundreds, really, of those types of little important nuances that are important that we need to make sure we're following, whether you're self-managing or whether you are a licensed property manager. Now, if you're looking to hire a property manager to manage your rental property, you need to know if they're licensed. We'll put a link in this video to the Department of Regulatory Agencies, DORA, to their website. The state of Colorado makes it very easy to look up and see whether a person has a real estate license. So this is just a screenshot of their website. I went in, I typed in my own name there, and you hit submit, and it pops up this big box and gives you as the consumer all sorts of information about the licensee, the real estate agent. Their name, their license number, the status. My license is active. That's important. It was issued in October or September of 1996. It tells us that. It tells us when it expires, the name of the company they're with, that company license number, the address, the phone number, all this information. And then this is a very important thing. Before you hire a property manager, you want to make sure you pay attention to this little section right there. It says disciplinary action. Has there been any disciplinary action taken against that property manager or that property management company? And if so, it would say it right there. So it'll say no discipline has been taken. Or if your property manager has had disciplinary action from the state of Colorado, it would list it there. So that's number one that you want to check if you're considering hiring a property manager. Now, don't stop there, because you also want to check their Better Business Bureau. Find out how that company and that individual are showing in the Better Business Bureau. Check their Google reviews. Those are things that are very important to see what independent people that use that company utilizes. And we also recommend you determine whether or not that property management company belongs to NARPM, the National Association of Residential Property Managers. It's an educational group that really provides top-notch education. We recommend owner-clients work with individuals and property management companies that utilize that. So if you're a property owner, ensure it and be cautious that whatever company you're using is licensed in the state of Colorado. That's just going to be one box to check before you give your property, before you give the keys to your property to a property manager that you may not know real well. Hey, if you have other questions on that, consider us at Grace Property Management a resource. We're happy to help in any way we can. Jump on our website, rentgrace.com. I wish you success.